What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Alex, joined today by my co-host, Ryan. What's going on, man?
Just hanging out, and I'm excited. This is the first time we're coming at you guys live from visuals, I guess, or like with visuals.
Our
It's
house,
weird.
but you can now see us. They requested on the YouTube that we add video, so that's what we went ahead and did. We have our second mock draft of the year later on in this episode. But first, we're going to talk about a little bit of news that happened around the league, which I guess we can start with what happened today. The Cleveland Browns unveiled their new uniforms. Ryan texted me this at work, and I immediately Googled it, and I asked him, what's the difference? Because I can't tell. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I got the Adam Schefter notification that they had just released the uniforms, and the video they released is kind of awkward because, we saw the video releases for Tampa Bay and the Falcons, and they were clean. It's kind of like a mini hype video. And I don't know, I felt like with the Browns, if you haven't watched it, I recommend go watching it. But it's kind of like a documentary. It's kind of like them talking about going back to the past for like 2 minutes straight. They hardly showed the uniforms at all, and it was weird lighting, so you didn't even really get a good look at it. So I hated the video. Whoever was in charge of that, I should probably get a
It was very weird. Like, you couldn't tell that they were, like, even if they had changed the jerseys a lot, that video was not doing them any favors and showing what they did.
Yeah. And I saw Pat McAfee talk about it. He was like, if you're not a Cleveland Browns fan, you're not really going to notice a difference here. And that's absolutely right, because it looks like they hardly tweaked it. I hate this like tradition or new trend that the NFL is going towards, where like they're announcing a huge jersey release and it's like literally like tweaking the uniform. They could have literally gone into the next season with those uniforms, and I would not have been able to know a difference.
I think the only difference is they don't say Cleveland on the front anymore.
Yeah, they took like the Cleveland and the Browns off of their uniforms. So I will say that the all brown one is pretty clean, but other than that, like I just
like change the helmet for me. Change the helmet, do something. Like give us a little bit of flair. Then I guess the second part of our news is Christian McCaffrey actually got signed to a 4-year extension, making him the highest paid running back in all of football. It was $16 million a year. So he's under contract for the next 5 years. I'll let Ryan go first on his opinion about this. But
I can see you're excited to talk about this. But I thought this was a great move for Carolina, getting their guy under contract for this long. Because I think you said he's 23. He's still super young.
Yeah, he's 23. He'll be 24 at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, that's fantastic. To get that knocked out of the way, because, getting a huge contract on the books like that, you already know going into next season the amount of cap you're going to have. Because, that was their biggest liability. Because I think they had the 5th-year option anyways, but he's getting close to the end of his rookie contract. So just putting that in the rear view and not having to worry about a holdout or anything like that. Not saying CMC would do that because he seems like a stand-up guy, but I like that they knocked it out of the way. How do you feel?
So I love it, first of all, because if they would have traded him or released him, who's a star on that team that you're going to sell to the fans to come watch? Because other than CMC, there's nobody. What, Teddy Bridgewater? No, I'm good. So, and the fact that he's 24, like when his contract is up, he'll be 28. That's a perfect time to release a running back if you were going to. So we get him for the best years. I'm very curious to see what the guaranteed money is because they haven't announced that. And I'm curious to know how much of it is guaranteed. But all in all, I love it. I couldn't have asked for a better guy to be drafted to Carolina, be the face of the franchise. And he seems incredibly excited to be there. So I love it.
That's what you want.
Oh, our last bit of news. There were rumors earlier today that Odell Beckham Jr. might be on the move, potentially to Minnesota. But then those rumors were shot down by credible sources. But I still have a feeling that he's somewhat on the block, but it's going to take a big deal. What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, me and Alex were talking about this earlier. They were talking about the terms of the deal, and it sounds like if it were to happen, Minnesota would get out of sending one of their first round picks, and they would send, what'd you say, a 2021 second and a 2021 fifth?
Yeah.
Which is an absolute heist. I think that's an amazing trade for the Vikings and a terrible one for the Browns. So it sounds like the Browns will take it. I'm just kidding.
I couldn't
but I
agree
think,
more with you, honestly. I hate that trade for Cleveland, but I love it for Minnesota if it was going to happen. But it looks as if it's not going to happen, at least not right now. Do we have any other news?
I don't think so. I'm ready to get into this mock draft.
Hey, I may have messed up. Did you write down the picks? By any
I did
chance?
not write down the picks.
Hey, we're going to have to go on the fly a little bit because I accidentally didn't save this mock draft. But I think I relatively remember what happened. That one's on me.
Oh,
I apologize. I went to go save it, and I apparently didn't because now it's not in my saved mock drafts. So I apologize for that.
That's all good, man. We'll roll with the punches.
I feel like I vaguely remember what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, this is the start of our mock draft 2.0. This one's with trades. The first one was without trades. So with further ado, Ryan, take it away.
Sorry, had to get in the spirit of it.
No, all good. I love it. I love the energy. So obviously, with the first pick, we have Cincinnati. I think they're going to take Joe Burrow. Ryan, I'm assuming, agrees.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the clear-cut choice for him. You know, I feel like Miami might end up making a bid, but I feel like the upside of having Joe Burrow in that system is just too much for them to deny. And I think they go with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I agree 100%. With the second overall pick, we also had Washington kind of just falling in line. They're going to take defensive end Chase Young from Ohio State. I mean, in my opinion, he's the best player in the entire draft. He's a game changer. And yes, the Redskins don't necessarily need defensive end, but when you have a guy like him, how can you not take him at number 2? He fell into your lap. He should have went 1. He fell to your lap at 2. You take the next best player.
Yeah.
And then at 3, we actually had our first trade. I believe we had Detroit trading out with Miami, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Detroit is going to switch their third round or their first round, number 3 overall, to Miami for the 5th, and I believe it was the 26th.
Yes.
Yeah. So Miami keeps the 18th. They move up 2 spots, and they take quarterback Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama. Yeah, we know he has injury problems, but they've been tanking for him for, what, a year and a half now? Like, there was a whole hashtag going on for a while that was tank for Tua. So it makes sense here. I love Tua. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. Ryan, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of injury concerns with this pick, but, you know, they've got a really solid quarterback room there. They have Ryan Fitzpatrick still, and they have Josh Rosen if they want to lean on him. So if Tua ends up not being able to play, whether he gets hurt in off-season training or whether they just want to give him a redshirt year, they have the option to go with someone else, at least for 2020. I think Tua is going to turn out to be a great quarterback, and, you know, I feel like the Dolphins is a good place for him to grow.
I agree. I'd much rather him go there than go to Cincinnati because I think Miami's set up for a better future. With the 4th overall pick, we had the Giants staying put, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think they were taking Okudah?
Yeah, they were taking Jeff Okudah at Ohio State. We know they drafted DeAndre Baker at the end of the first round of the 2019 draft. He hasn't really turned out how they expected. So I think that they go with Jeff Okudah to help beef up that cornerback group with James Bradbury and DeAndre Baker. And I think they have another cornerback. His name, I know his last name's Love, but I almost said Jordan Love, but that's not right.
Is it Julian Love? I think
it is Julian Love. I knew it was Jay.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Jordan. But yeah. I think that gives them a really good cornerback room because they're going to need it because the NFC East is going to be high flying this year.
Yeah, I love that pick. I think Okudah could honestly be the second best player behind Chase Young in this draft if there weren't for these quarterbacks. I feel so bad for deleting our mock draft by accident.
No, you're good, man. We're doing good so far, but after this, it's gonna get pretty crazy.
Yo, the fifth pick is where I'm like, what happened there? I'm pretty sure Detroit traded out of it.
Who had pick 19? Because I think that's where they've drafted. No, it was 14. Who has 14?
They traded
it was Tampa Bay.
With Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay trades up to number 5 overall. I don't know how. Not number 5. Yeah, number 5 overall. I don't know how, but I'm going to guess they send probably the 14th overall pick and then next year's 1. I think
Either
that's
that or like a second of some sort.
They're going to trade up with future picks, maybe some players, to 5 with Miami, and they're going to take offensive lineman Tristan Wirfs, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They're going to take offensive lineman Tristan Wirfs because, I mean, they invested – they're basically their entire franchise for the next 2 years in Tom Brady, and this is the first time Tom Brady's not going to have an offensive line. So we got to get him some sort of help there in Tampa. And then with the 6th overall pick, this one's actually going to surprise a few people, I think. Ryan, you want to let the people know?
I can't really – is it the offensive lineman?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had them skipping out on a quarterback because I think that the Chargers – well, first off, they seem pretty confident in Tyrod Taylor, confident enough to maybe get Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love in the 2nd round. So they want to focus on protecting that guy and get a left tackle. So they're going to take Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. I know it's a shocker. I know it's a little crazy. And it might be like the biggest hot take in this draft. But I think they go tackle. I think they have to. They don't really need anybody on defense super badly. I think Mekhi Becton would be a great fit in Anthony Lynn's offense.
I love it, especially because let's say the 2nd round comes around and they don't get one of those quarterbacks. There's Jameis Winston and Cam Newton sitting at home waiting on a phone call. Or worse, let's say both of them get signed by the draft. Call up Cincinnati and say, hey, Andy Dalton, you want to come be a Charger? Because you put a quarterback on this Chargers team and they automatically become contenders, I think.
Yeah.
And then at 7, I think this is a pretty obvious pick. I have Carolina taking Isaiah Simmons, linebacker safety hybrid from Clemson. He'll fill a huge hole on that defense. And honestly, the offense is looking nice in Carolina. The defense is looking terrible. So they have to get some help in there. And I think he's the right choice.
Hey, if you need some help, I mean, that's a pretty good guy to help out with your defense.
Yeah, the guy that when he was asked what position he plays, he said defense.
Defense.
That's the guy right there. At 8, we debated this one because we almost had Arizona trading out. But then I think we ended up having them take Jedrick Wells, right?
Yes.
Offensive tackle from Alabama, because you invest in a guy like Kyler Murray. He was the number 1 overall pick last year. You got to keep him upright. You already got him a wide receiver. I think it would have been wide receiver if Hopkins wouldn't have been traded.
Yeah, before the Hopkins trade, this was easily CeeDee Lamb if he was on the board. But now that's kind of in question. So I think you're right. I think you got to protect him a little bit.
Yeah. 9, Jacksonville. Did they trade back here or did they take –
No, we thought about it. We really debated Jacksonville trading back, but we ended up making them take Derek Brown out of Auburn.
Yep.
Derek replaced Marcel Darius.
I mean, he literally is a younger version of Marcel Darius. He's a giant run stuffer. Like, that's what his job is. I love that pick for Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville has a chance to be the worst team in the league next year, right up there with, like, Atlanta and who else? Just those 2. Let's stick with those 2. And then Cleveland at 10, we had taking, I believe, another offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Andrew Thomas. Yeah.
That's probably not the guy they wanted. They were probably hoping for a guy like Mekhi Becton and Jedrick Wills. But obviously those guys are off the board, so they're going to have to settle for Andrew Thomas, which honestly is not settling too bad. He's a good tackle, and they need to beef up that offensive line for Baker.
Yeah, without question. I think this is one of the deepest wide receivers and offensive tackle drafts that I can remember. Maybe since I've been watching football, like especially with the wide receivers. This is one of the deepest drafts ever. So at 11, speaking of wide receiver, the first one gets taken off the board. We have CeeDee Lamb going to the Jets. I know there's rumors about it being what's his name? Henry Ruggs III, but I think it's going to be CeeDee Lamb. I personally think he is the best physical wide receiver. I think Jerry Jeudy's a better route runner, but CeeDee Lamb's more of a go up and get the ball kind of guy. What do you have to say, man?
Yeah, I mean, there were rumors that came out about an hour ago that they were really interested in Henry Ruggs. But, sitting there and having CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy on the board just doesn't make sense to take Ruggs there, especially because they just signed Rashad Perryman, who is kind of a great value Henry Ruggs. So I could see them maybe, if they want to, they can end up taking another receiver like Brandon Ayuk later on in the draft. But for now, we're going to have them take the best wide receiver off the board, CeeDee Lamb.
I forgot they traded for or they signed Perriman. I actually like that CeeDee Lamb pick a lot more now that I remember that.
Yeah.
At 12, we had the Raiders. They're going to get their wide receiver of the future in Jerry Jeudy, arguably the best wide receiver in this draft. He's right up there with CeeDee Lamb. Give Derek Carr or Mariota, whichever one's the starter, somebody to throw the ball to. Because honestly, other than Terrell Williams, who's another – Hunter Renfrow, I guess. But come on, you need some sort of star power. You're moving.
You got my boy Zay Jones in there, man.
Okay. There's a reason Buffalo traded him. Yeah. There's a reason Buffalo got rid of him. At 13, San Francisco. What do you think? Wide receiver?
Yeah, we had them take the third wide receiver off the board. We had them take Henry Ruggs out of Alabama. We've seen rumors of them trying to trade Marquise Goodwin earlier this offseason, so Ruggs just makes sense. I think the speed that he offers would be absolutely killer paired with Deebo Samuel. I think that would be deathly for Jimmy G. I like it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it's really going to help Deebo get open more if they have him flying down the sideline and Deebo running crossing routes. It'll be great. I honestly love it.
Could you imagine if they kept Goodwin and they had Goodwin, Deebo Samuel, and Ruggs and Kittle? Like, that would be a track meet.
Dude, Kittle's just going to be screaming down that center. He's going to be screaming down the seams. And then at 14, we have Miami, right? No. Yeah, Miami.
Yeah, no, Detroit.
Yes, Detroit, because Detroit traded with Miami. Sorry. Yes. At 14, we have the Detroit Lions. We have them taking –
Wait, no, that's not right. Is it right?
Yeah, because – hang on. Sorry, guys. Technical –
No. Because Detroit traded 5, and then they traded back with Tampa Bay for 14. Yeah, we're on the right track.
So,
Detroit.
They have 14 and 18, yes. So – at 14, we have them taking – I believe we had them taking the outside linebacker from LSU.
Yes.
How do you say his name?
Hey, I'm going to leave that to you. I think it's Clavon Chasen.
Clavon Chasen is what I'm going to call him. He's the outside linebacker from LSU. He's a good – honestly, I think he'll maybe move to D-end. I don't know how big he is. Actually, what kind of defense does Detroit run? They probably run a 3-4, right? So he can probably still play outside linebacker.
Yeah. He can get away with it.
Yeah.
Hey, sidebar, I think we need to make a segment where we just try to say guys' names that we don't know how to say. I think that would be really entertaining.
Okay. That'll be an off-season episode. That'll be a bonus episode for you guys. It's going to be like a 10-minute podcast of us just trying to say guys' names, just offending like half the NFL draft. At 15, Denver. Now, this is one that I don't recall. Denver.
Did they trade back?
I feel like they took a corner. Is this where C.J. Henderson went?
No, C.J. Henderson was next pick, Falcons.
Yep, he was.
Sorry,
okay.
Spoiler alert.
Who went 15? Did we go wide receiver?
Who would we have gone with? Oh, we did. We went with Rager.
Yeah. Jalen Rager to Denver. On the other side, Cortland Sutton. We got Rager. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. We even planned ahead of this podcast to put this in order, and then I didn't save the draft. So that one's on me. But Ryan actually just said it's the 16th overall pick is – take it away.
C.J. Henderson out of where did he go to school?
Florida, I believe.
Florida. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about it. We were scratching our heads, and we really couldn't come up with anybody except Ricardo Allen as.
Yeah, I mean, I Googled their
corner.
best corners, and it was Ricardo Allen, which nobody wants that to be your number one corner. That's just not – that's a recipe for disaster, basically, is what we're saying. So then at, I believe, 17, we have Dallas. What did Dallas do?
They took Patrick Queen, the linebacker out of LSU. Dallas doesn't really have any super glaring needs right now, so they took one of the best defensive players off the board. You know, I think that Patrick Queen would look really good next to Leighton Vander Esch.
Dude, it's crazy how good Dallas should be, and they're just not.
Yeah.
Like,
what? It was coaching, man.
It has to be the coaching, right?
Yeah, it was totally coaching.
Imagine
especially in that division too, which last year the division kind of was shaky.
I think the Eagles won the division at 8-8.
I think they were 9-7. They barely.
Oh yeah, they beat the Cowboys at the end of the year to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. At 18 we have Detroit, and they went.
No, I think this is still Detroit has 26. This is Miami.
Facts. This is Miami, and we have DeAndre Swift, running back, Georgia. The only running back we actually have going in the first round. Spoiler alert. I think he's probably the best running back in the draft. Which
easily.
Is great because you definitely heard more about Jonathan Taylor in college than you did about DeAndre Swift, but now he's coming out as the favorite running back in the draft.
If ETN from Clemson had declared, do you think that he would have been the top back, or do you think it would have been Swift still?
I think it would have been Swift. I think ETN probably would have went third. I've heard a lot of traction for Clyde Edwards Jones. Is that his name? The guy from LSU.
Yeah.
It's Clyde Edwards something.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of traction for him to actually go ahead of Jonathan Taylor, which I think is insane to me. But, hey, man, that LSU team set records all year. So what are you going to do? 19, we have Vegas.
They took Kinlaw.
Yeah, they did, which is insane that he fell to 19 because we were arguing him, in the top 10 earlier?
Oh, yeah. We were like, I think from pick 8 onwards, every pick was like, do they need Kinlaw?
We really debated the 9th pick between Derek Jones and him.
But, Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina finds his home in where'd you say? Oakland? Las Vegas.
Vegas.
I think that would be a great pickup, and I think the Raiders would honestly be ecstatic if Kinlaw was there at 19.
Is this the pick?
It is. It's a fun one.
Is it?
Yeah. The QB of the future.
Yep. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to take Justin Herbert, quarterback, Oregon. And he's going to have to battle it out with the mustache, Gardner Minshew. See who's going to be the leader of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm really sorry for both of them. But, hey, man, Jacksonville goes quarterback. And then with 21, we have Philly taking – I believe it was Justin Jefferson, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson.
Hey, who did sorry to interrupt. Who did Denver take at 15? I remember what happened now.
Yeah, I do too, and I was just gonna go. I was gonna move past it because we forgot about that trade that we made.
Okay, we can announce that after the.
Yeah, we'll announce that one at the end because we definitely messed up that portion of the draft. 15 should have gone to New England, but we'll move on.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, sometimes you just don't save the mock draft. So at 21, Philly gets their wide receiver that's going to go on the other side of Alshon, with D-Jack streaking up the side. They're going to take Justin Jefferson. Honestly, he probably would have went way higher if there wouldn't have been these 3 studs in front of him.
Yeah.
But
I think so, too.
It'll also be really interesting to see what he can do without Joe Brady and without Joe Burrow. Because how much of that was Joe Brady and how much of it was Joe Burrow?
I actually love this fit, though, because I think that offense is really going to let him do what he needs to do. I think he's going to be – honestly, he might end up in a year be Carson Wentz's number 1 guy. I could see that happening easily.
I mean, they're already talking about trading Alshon. So if you trade Alshon, who's left on the team? A 32-year-old D-Jack and then a 22-year-old Justin Jefferson. So, I mean, I love that pick for them. Really love that pick, actually. If they don't go wide receiver, I think all of Philadelphia is going to riot.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
At 21, Minnesota. I think we argued this one, or we debated 22. This a while. Yeah, 22. My bad. And I think they went – they go AJ Epenesa?
No, it wasn't Epenesa. It was why do I feel it was a corner, I think.
Oh, was it Fulton or Diggs?
It was Fulton.
Okay, so Minnesota gets a corner. They get Fulton. Honestly, best corner in the draft other than Jeff Okudah. So the fact that he fell to 22 is a little surprising. But I like that pick for Minnesota. We were actually looking at the roster for Minnesota, and they are a disaster. They've
lost a lot of guys.
Yeah, so many holes. I guess we can move on. So I messed up the draft. So at 23, New England is actually going to take their quarterback potentially of the future. It's going to be Jordan Love, cornerback out of Utah State. I think he has potential to be the best cornerback or quarterback in this entire draft.
I like that.
But I really do. He reminds me so much of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys in this draft that I think are boom or bust. So really, if you told me, hey, so-and-so is going to be the best quarterback in 5 years, I would honestly not be surprised because I could see any one of these guys popping off and being like a superstar. And I can also see like a lot of these guys ended up being busts and being like kind of Josh Rosen-ish where like
100%. I think this is the draft where I think every quarterback could potentially bust. For one reason or another. Like, what if Joe Burrow isn't as good as we think he is if he doesn't have Joe Brady? Or like Tua, what if his health doesn't hold up? What if Herbert isn't mature enough? Jordan Love has never played with good players. He played at Utah State.
After Josh Allen, though, I don't believe that anymore. I think Jordan Love is going to be a good guy.
True, because if you go back and look at that Josh Allen Wyoming team, I've never seen a man run for his life every snap of the football like he did for that season with
it was kind of like his rookie year in Buffalo, though.
No, it wasn't. It was like he had me and you out there as his offensive tackles blocking for him at Wyoming. He was running for his life.
Okay, but real quick, though, I kind of like that we messed up because I think we had Rager going to Denver anyways.
We do.
23.
Yeah.
So I think we had New England trading up to get Justin Herbert, but I kind of like Jordan Love there better.
No, we had Love going ahead of Herbert. I remember that.
Oh, so we literally had these two.
We had Herbert going to Jacksonville at 20. We just had New England trading up for Jordan Love, which honestly I think they could get at 23.
Okay, so they still got the same player. Okay, that worked out.
Everybody got the same players, just not in the same order that we had in the mock draft before this. Now
there was supposed to be a trade, guys. We promised you guys trades. There was supposed to be one. We slipped up
at the top. There was some of that. We didn't want to get ridiculous. Like I could have said Miami's sending the house for Joe Burrow, but I don't think that's going to happen.
We try to be realistic.
It might get a little dicey here because I don't really remember who we took in these later picks. But New Orleans, 24, they took.
They
took.
Who did they take?
Oh, Xavier McKinney, right?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, safety. Wait, no, they didn't.
No, they did not.
Who did they take? Sorry, this is turning into a shit show. Zach. How do you say his name? Zach. His last name is Baun.
Vaughn? No, I thought he went to San Fran.
Did they take Kenneth Murray?
They did. They did. Kenneth Murray. That's the guy.
All we have to do is talk these things out. We'll get through this together, guys. They go linebacker because we looked at their team and there's not that many needs. Honestly, they fill a lot of needs in free agency, low key, under the radar.
And they just lost AJ Klein, so that fills his hole perfectly with honestly a guy that's probably better than him.
Yeah,
I couldn't even say that because we
nothing to write home about. I can tell you that right now. He used to be
disappointed because he signed with Buffalo.
Dude, he went Carolina, Buffalo, Saints, or did he go Buffalo, Carolina, Saints?
Carolina, Saints, Buffalo.
Yeah, AJ Klein. Stud linebacker.
Give it up
I'll
for
tell you that. 25, Minnesota. This could have been Xavier McKinney.
No, this was Gross Matos.
Yes, defensive end because they lost Everson Griffin, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they had to fill his void. Gross Matos is one of the most intriguing players, I think, in this entire first round because he could be a stud or he could be a huge bust. Like, this could be one of those picks where we're looking like, oh, they really reached for a guy, or, wow, they stole a guy super late in the draft.
Yeah.
Okay, so this pick is Detroit at 26.
Yes.
And they took Xavier McKinney.
I think so.
I believe that is correct. Nope, that's wrong because Xavier McKinney goes to the next team on this list. Who did Detroit take? Did they take –
Wait, who's the next team on the list? The Seahawks?
Yeah.
That's not right.
Nope, it's not right. Ryan, you're correct. They did take Xavier McKinney. I am so sorry for this recording. I feel awful. Okay, so at 26, Miami takes Xavier McKinney. They added Detroit. Ryan, I am falling apart during this.
You're good, man. You're good. We're rocking and rolling.
Detroit at 26. This is probably going to be one of the best podcasts just because it's funny. At 26, Detroit's going to take Xavier McKinney. Honestly, couldn't tell you one of their safeties. So, can you?
Well, they lost Quandre Diggs. They traded him to Seattle halfway through last season. So, they need somebody to fill that void, and I think Xavier McKinney fits well there.
Who was their safety last year?
They have Miles Killebrew. I don't think that helps.
Because I know who that is.
Exactly.
Sorry, Miles, but I have no idea who you are. But okay, let's move on. At 27, Seattle takes, I believe, the Earl Thomas replacement in Grant Delpit, who arguably was supposed to go in the top 10 last year. They were saying if he could have went out, he was supposed to go in the top 10, top 15, and now he's going to drop to 27 to Seattle. And I love Grant Delpit here with Seattle. He just fits. I just feel like that's a perfect fit.
Yeah, I'm a little shaky on Grant Delpit. I'm sure I've said this a few times on the podcast. He had a lot of great moments at LSU, but he had a really shaky game in that national championship game. Like, it was kind of too big of a stage for him.
He did.
But if he was going to get drafted in the first round, I think this is absolutely by far the best fit for him in Seattle. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, and they just lost Seattle just lost Tedrick Thompson. They just released him. He was their starting safety. So I think it just makes all the sense in the world for them to go safety here. At 28, Baltimore goes – who do we have Baltimore take? Oh, wide receiver. I believe it was –
Shenault.
Laviska Shenault, yes, which favorite name in the draft, I have to say.
Yeah, I like it.
It's great. I would get a Shenault jersey immediately if he went to Carolina. No, I wouldn't, but I wouldn't. I love that pick for Baltimore because Hollywood Brown's your speedster, and then you have Shenault on the outside as your big body.
Size.
Your red zone guy, big body. At 29, Tennessee.
This was Epineza.
Yes, because they lost Jarrell Casey. So AJ Epineza goes to Tennessee. I think this helps them a lot. We're both, I think, equally as down on Tennessee next year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that last week that we did the awards?
Yeah, it was, and we said that. Well, at least I said I think the worst contract is going to be Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
I do. I stick by that. At 30, we have Green Bay. I believe they went your guy from Arizona State.
Brandon Ayuk. This gives them, honestly, the best wide receiver core they've had in years with Devontae Adams, Devin Funchess, and Brandon Ayuk. I love the fit for
Donald Driver and what was the other dude's name? Donald Driver and I can literally picture his name. He's the guy in the Madden meme that breaks his leg and then runs for a touchdown. What is this dude's name? Donald Driver. Ryan has no idea what I'm talking about right now.
I'm lost, man.
Okay. I was trying to think of, back when Rodgers, first hit his prime. Greg Jennings. There we go.
Yeah.
It was Donald
Okay.
Driver, Greg Jennings. Yep. Okay. Sorry. That was a weird tangent I just went off on. This whole podcast is falling apart. At 31, San Francisco. This was the outside linebacker, right?
Yeah, this is Zach Bond out of Wisconsin.
You go ahead.
I was just going to say, this kind of completes their defense. You know, they don't really need – they could have maybe gotten away with going like Quandre Diggs here. But, you know, their defensive line is set. Offensive line is, you know, pretty good. And I think, honestly, if they took offensive line to be reaching here. They already took Henry Ruggs in the first with their 13th overall pick. And they really don't have any other outstanding needs outside of that, so might as well just improve their linebacking.
I really think their biggest weakness might be Jimmy G.
It's getting to that point, yeah, where, like, the team is so good. Like, honestly, if they're not back, at least in the NFC Championship game, that's going to be –
somebody either got hurt or they did something real wrong this year.
Yeah.
Because that's a lethal team. I mean, maybe you could say running back, but they have like 7 guys that they just rotate in on that team.
I cannot see them doing running back here. They have Breida. They have Mostert.
They have Tevin Coleman. I mean, they're going to have to end up cutting one of those guys.
They have McKinnon, too. They've had McKinnon for the past 2 years that have just been chilling on IR.
That guy, I feel so bad for him. He's been injured, 3 years in a row, I think?
Yeah, that guy's donezo.
Yeah, he's done. I'm shocked they haven't cut him, honestly. And then to round out the final pick of this mock draft that is just falling apart, the Kansas City Chiefs, we debated a running back here. We debated Jonathan Taylor, but we decided that they could probably grab one of the other running backs a little bit later in this draft. And I believe we ended up going corner. Correct?
Yeah, I think it was Diggs, right?
Yeah, it was Trayvon Diggs, Alabama, which I think is a steal at 32.
Oh, I totally said his name wrong like 3 minutes ago when I was talking about him. I said Quandre Diggs. That's the guy who plays for Seattle. My bad. Trayvon Diggs. You know what I meant. Don't make fun of me.
Ryan, I've messed up about 150 times this podcast, so I think you're due for one, buddy. But, yeah, that rounds out our second mock draft of the offseason. Probably our last, honestly. The draft, starts Thursday?
Yeah, we will be. We are officially 1 week away, and we will be making episodes after every night of the draft to give you guys a full recap. So tune in and follow us.
So there'll be, 3 episodes next week? 3.
Yeah. We could probably skip out on Wednesday and just go ahead.
I think we're going to move it to Thursday night, Friday night, and then Saturday night. Saturday night's podcast is going to be a rough one. When we're talking pick rounds 4 through 7, that'll be you'll learn how much me and Ryan truly know about this draft later rounds. But we appreciate it. I hope you guys liked the video aspect of this, so make sure to give us feedback on that down in the comments. Shout out to all the new supporters. You got anything else, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys made it through all this, then you guys are some troopers. We appreciate you, and thank you. Stay safe out there.
Have a good weekend.